Hi, everybody. I'm Father Drew, and today we're going to talk about love and the law.
Children's moment. Yeah!
Now, Jesus is asked, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" Now, before we hear how Jesus answers, I want to point out one really important thing, is that God gave a bunch of laws. God gave a bunch of commandments to the people. And there's a way in which this is kind of a trick question. What's the most important? When God has said, all of these are important, right? So the idea of just trying to narrow it down, say one thing is most important than above all the other things, that is really kind of a trick question. It's kind of like when your parents have given you a bunch of stuff to do, and then they're like, so which is the one thing you need to do? You're kind of like, right? That's kind of what they did to Jesus here. So Jesus does his best. And he says something that's really full. So I just want to give us a chance to hear a little bit of it. He says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." I would just want to give us a quick chance to sort of decode this a little bit. He's asked, what's the greatest, right? When you know there's a volume of stuff that's important. And he says he doesn't narrow it down to one, but he narrows it down to two that he says go together these two are connected. Like the one is more important. Love God with all your heart and soul and mind and body and strength and everything, right? That's the most important. But the second one connects to it because it's the same. It's of the same material. It's the way that you can do the first one. You can do the first one because of the second one. And that second one is love your neighbors as yourself, which means you have to love yourself and you have to love your neighbors. You have to love the people around you. You have to love yourself. You have to love the people around you. And that's how you can love God. And he says, but he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop with this because there's a way in which all of the sort of novelty of love and the love that we have and the love that we share for one another, there's a way in which naming that is itself a challenge of accuracy. And Jesus does something else. He says, everything hangs from these two. And it reminded me of a very physical object, right? This hanger, right? So everything hangs off of these two, right? So there's a way in which all of the world stuff would just be laying on the floor. It'd just be laying there if we didn't have some way to organize it, right? So we've got a hanger, which made me think of this, right? So this is my sport coat. It's kind of like a suit jacket, right? They call it a sport coat, though. I don't know why. And it's on a hanger. And one of the things about these kinds of garments is that they wrinkle easily, so you hang them up. And you hang them up on a hanger, and by doing that, you set it there, and it stays nice and and you can wear it, and you can wear it any day you want. What happens when we don't hang anything, right? Just leave it on the floor. It gets all wrinkly. You can't tell the difference between anything else. Loving God and loving our neighbors as ourselves as the hanger allows us to organize the proverbial closet. It lets us organize our way of being. It lets us organize and recognize our relationships. So when it comes down to everything else, all the things, all of the good things that you and I are called to do, when it comes down to all of that, right, it comes down to loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. Everything else not only depends on that, but is because of that. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you again soon.